18th hat trick of his career. I want to talk about Pasta coming up, but first, let's hear from number 88 after his 4-point performance.
I mean, obviously it helps as a line. We've been playing some good hockey in past month, and we being confident, having good offensive games, and so I think that helps the most. We're feeling good. We kind of know what they expect from each other. So obviously it's a huge credit to my line mates, and I've been feeling much better lately.
You passed Bobby Orr in the most 10-game point streaks for a Bruin. What does that mean to you?
Oh, I'm not sure. I mean, it's obviously anytime you mention name and player like Bobby Orr was, it's definitely honorable and motivation-wise, to keep working hard and honestly, the only thing I saw was a couple of days ago. I passed in point my boy Kretsch, so I haven't got to talk to him yet. So I might have to give him a phone call today.
Yeah, David Pastrnak passing David Krejci in the rankings in terms of points in Bruins history, which is pretty funny. A player that Pasta obviously looked up to as a kid and then got to play with as a member of the Boston Bruins. But, they talked about the month of January for David Pastrnak, how great he was, the 11 goals, one of the stars of the month, coming off first star of the week and continuing that right into the month of February. And as you both mentioned, coming off assists from Matt Poitras, and those are after penalty kill situations for the Bruins that to deal with that. So Pavel Zacha not on the ice, and so Poitras there facilitating. And in Brick, you talked about it as well. It's not just the offense from David Pastrnak. It was the takeaway from Riley Smith. It's the 200-foot game for Pasta and the passing game for Pasta, which has really stood out as well.
Yeah, when you play as much as he does, and you're such a focal point, and every person in that TD Garden, every time 88 steps on the ice, I mean, the focus is on him. Everybody's watching him. What's he doing? So when he's not on top of his game, when he's making high-risk plays in the wrong areas of the ice and he's turning the puck over, or he's on the ice in a situation where the other team has their goaltender pulled and he's not getting pucks out along the wall, you want him out there for other reasons, but you also have to include that in your game. When those things aren't happening, he becomes such a lightning rod for saying he's not a complete player. And I get that. That's just the way it is. It's the nature of the game. It's the nature of being a star in this league. When you're not getting the job done in defensive situations, or you're creating issues for your team with high-risk turnovers when the play is not there, I understand that. But when you see the way he's played over the last 6 weeks, you're like, this kid's unbelievable. We are so lucky to have a talent like this on our team here in Boston. These are the players we love. He's got personality. He's got flair. He's got offensive pizzazz, stuff that you love to go to games and watch games on TV because he is that dynamic, and he's on top of it right now with everything that he's doing, his decision-making and his creativity.
I want to go back to David Krejci a little bit, since he brought him up, and you also did too, Adam. I remember a conversation that David Krejci had a couple of years ago before he retired, when he was talking about David Pastrnak and he first came to the National Hockey League. And he told Pasta, he said, listen, it's on you. I'll help you out with whatever you need, but it's on you to come to me and ask those questions. I'm not going to just impart that wisdom. If you have questions, I'm right there for you. And for a guy like David Pastrnak, always wanted to get better, always wanted to learn. He used a guy like David Krejci to better himself, and that's part of the reason that we see the player that we do right now here in Boston.
And you want that from him as well now in David Pastrnak's career, to be able to impart that wisdom. He doesn't have to, start telling Matty Poitras how to play hockey, but if you want questions answered, I can be, a resource for you. That's how that torch gets passed along. When Pastrnak was saying, or when he was playing with Bergeron and Marchand, the perfection line, whatever the nickname was, he learned how to play a 200-foot game from those guys, and he aspired to be a 200-foot player, to be like those guys, and then separate himself from those guys because he was a better offensive player. And that's a good goal. And that's that standard that he's talking about in the locker room when he's talking to the reporters. Like, I set a very high standard for myself, and that's all part of that equation. And now he has to be part of that leadership group that imparts that wisdom and passes it down the line.
He is a bona fide superstar in the National Hockey League, no question about that. And all of a sudden on pace for 40 plus goals and on pace for close to 100 points. And, before the calendar turned to 2025, didn't know, if that would be the case. But based on David Pasternak's history, and his history especially in the month of January, which is pointed out a number of times on this show and during the broadcast, he caught fire and he got off to a good start in the month of February. Also, guys, over the last 3 games, the power play has connected. 4 for their last 8, a couple of power play goals against the Rangers. And David Pastrnak involved, in that as well. Brick, what stood out to you about the power play?
The finish. The finish stood out. They still had some issues at times getting those easy carry-ins. You see other teams and you get jealous because they have guys that, Colorado comes in here and even though they don't, score, tons of power play goals, they get into the zone so easily. And you get jealous of those teams that can do that consistently because, you look at Boston and you look at their talent and you say that should be less of a problem than it's been for this team. But I just think it's the finish ability when they get into the offensive zone. They have too many weapons. They really do. We sit here and talk about the good offensive, their top 5 guys, whether you want to roll 5 forwards or if you go 4 forwards and 1 defenseman, and that defenseman has to be McAvoy. As much as we like what we see at times from Lohrei as a young player and a left shot, it's a different look. It's a different tendency to move the puck in certain areas when you have a left shot guy out there as opposed to a right shot. But all that being said, it's the finish. They've had a lot of good looks, earlier in the year when the power play was not connecting as far as scoring goals. Now they're finishing, and usually that is contagious. And when you start to get power play goals from everybody, especially on that first unit, that gets fun. It gets exciting. You get more confidence. You move the puck quicker. You have more confidence to make plays. They had a nice keep in by McAvoy, but now if you saw that power play goal, I think it was Zaka's, you had to keep that puck in, and you watched 2 other guys that didn't have the puck get close to the puck. They create a little triangle out high between the blue line and the top of the circle solely for possession. That's understanding what a power play is all about. Now you have possession. Now you go in the arsenal of plays from there, but it's all about getting the puck back when you don't have it. I love that aspect of what's going on with their power play right now.
So since January 1st, boys, the power play is clicking at 23.5%. That's still maybe just past the top half in the National Hockey League. I believe that's 13th heading into the action on Monday. And to add on to what Brick had mentioned, I think it's, yes, the work ethic has picked up, the puck retrieval has picked up, the puck movement has picked up, but I also think some patience has been there. They're not trying to force some of the action, and they've used the middle a lot more effectively. And as a result of the power play, boys, so the Bruins offense since January 1st is 9th in the National Hockey League. Heading into last night's action, they are 25th overall. But it's the other side of the puck that has to be much more of a constant. The Bruins are near the bottom since January 1st in defense. If they continue at this offensive pace, which I think a lot of people thought that they would be somewhere in the top third or maybe the top half of the National Hockey League, that's what they need. But the defense has to become what we all expected. They're expected to be an elite defensive team. They have not played like that consistently through the first 4 months of the season.